Hi guys, welcome back to the crazy world we live in. I'm Kelly. Um, I want to start with a disclaimer. This is a true crime channel, so there's a lot of mental abuse, physical abuse, sometimes sexual abuse. I don't recommend kids to watch it. The case we're going over now is Shelly knotek. It's pretty heavy, so keep watching at your own risk. My little disclaimer. Okay, so as we went over on the part one, was Shelly is already on her third husband, who is Dave knotek, and she has two daughters. They are Nikki and Sammy. She's already being abused for them, physically, mentally. She makes them wallow. She tells them they're worthless. She's really the hardest on Nikki. She has already taken away the girls' bathroom privileges. I believe she tried to tell them that there was something going on with the well and that they needed to ask her from now on whether or not they could even use the bathroom, which is just, I can imagine. And actually, it gets so bad that to the point to where Shelly is not there, like the girls, instead of sneaking snacks or phone calls, they would sneak showers and then try to make themselves look dirty. So we got to the part where they have moved. They're at the Louderback house that's in Raymond. And in 1988, Shelly's brother Paul goes to prison. Now, Paul was the one kid that acted animalistic. As he got older, he was in a bike gang. And he met a woman, had a son with her named Shane. So when he goes to prison, Shelly, being great Shelly, having to act like everything she does is amazing and she's just this great person, decides to take Shane in. Well, it goes good for the first couple weeks like everything. He has a bedroom upstairs in between the girls' a bed, a dresser, and all new clothes. He goes to school. He's popular because he's funny. He's mysterious. Well, then that ends because we're talking about Shelly here. So Shelly does the same thing she does with all the kids. Like, starts out with like little mind games, like a list of chores. Oh, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. You need to do it again. And then she starts taking his things away to where he's left wearing the same dirty outfit every day in school, not being able to shower, having to ask to use the bathroom. And then she even goes as far as taking everything in his bedroom away, and now he is forced to sleep on the cement in the basement. So, around Christmas time, Shelly finds out she's pregnant, and, everyone's really excited. A new baby, a new person in the house, maybe some hope. And then on Christmas of 1988, Shelly decides to let everyone know, since she's pregnant, she's going to let her friend Kathy Loreno move in. Now, if you remember from the last episode I did, Kathy Loreno was the hairstylist that was her best friend and was also a witness at Shelly and Dave's wedding. So Kathy moves in, and same as everything else, of course, she gets Shane's over upstairs, and she has her bedroom all set up and her own pictures on the wall, and brings some stuff from home. And it starts out with the chores and helping Shelly out, and then Shelly starts with the mental and verbal abuse first. You're not doing it right. And then, she starts with the hits and everything. And when this is going on and Kathy's getting the abuse, Nikki and Shane notice that the abuse isn't really on them as much. So, not that they don't want to help her, but they just, okay, it's happening, at least it's not to us. Well, it gets kind of bad to the point where Shelly she does some crazy things to poor Kathy. So when they're still at the Louderback house, he decides to mess with Kathy's head, I guess. Not to really like Kathy, to mess with Kathy's head. She starts telling Kathy that she's sleepwalking and eating all their food. And Kathy's just like, no, I'm not doing this. Well, it goes as far as Shelly actually starts hiding food under Kathy's bed and crumbs and everything. And so, of course, Kathy wakes up and there's food, and Shelly's like, see, you did this. So Kathy's kind of in her mind like, did I really do this? I don't remember doing this. But she's saying I did. Why would she lie? I must be. And then she even goes as far as to get Shane to join in. And she has Shane go with her and tell Kathy that Kathy sleptwalked naked into Shane's room and wanted him. So poor Kathy's just like, oh my goodness. I mean, Shane's a 13-year-old boy. Kathy's in her 30s. Like, she's just like, absolutely. How, like, I can't believe I would do that. And she doesn't believe it. But then Shane's saying, no, Kathy, I saw you. You were naked. This happened. Poor Kathy. So she doesn't even know what to believe anymore. Like, her brain is just like, when you're getting told something happened and you're positive it didn't, but someone's telling you, no, it did. Like, okay, maybe it did. All right, Kathy. So Kathy's there. The abuse is going on to her. The abuse actually gets pretty bad because I think I mentioned before, like, Dave works away on the week, gets only home on weekends, and when he's there, somehow Shelly convinces him the punishments are needed, so he actually joins in. So now that Kathy's there, Dave joins in, will help, kick her ass and stuff. And he's kind of concerned, but I don't get how Kathy actually convinces him Shelly convinces him that Kathy needs this punishment, but she does. So now Kathy's walking around. She has no clothes left. She's walking around naked, or if she's lucky, a bra and underwear to do chores, to do outdoor chores. She's getting hit, kicked. She's getting no food. She can't bathe. She has to ask when to use the bathroom, plus the beatings. So it's getting pretty bad for poor Kathy. Like, it even gets to the point, and Kathy allows this, but I think what I'm thinking is Kathy did so much of this and agreed to so much of this because she knew the kids would get it if she wasn't getting it. I mean, that's just what I'm thinking. So it gets to the point where Kathy's just so normalized in this that when they go anywhere or like on vacations, because they would go as a family, and yes, Kathy was invited, Kathy couldn't ride in the car. No. Kathy had to ride in the trunk, and she'd just get in the trunk. So, hey, crazy things, right? And then they actually go to the vacation, go camping and everything. So Kathy goes, and Kathy rides in the trunk there, and she doesn't even really get to eat with them or anything. She's more like their servant. And then when it comes time for bed, she doesn't even get to sleep in a tent. No, Shelly makes her sleep either in the trunk or under the car. So, yeah. And then this continues because, like, one time the girls have to go do laundry, and Shelly, take Kathy with you. So Kathy has to ride in the trunk on this hot day while they're at the laundromat doing laundry, and she does. And sometimes after beating Kathy, she does the same thing she does with her kids. Kathy, I'm sorry, I'll take care of you. And what she would like to do is, like, pit people against each other. That was one of her, I guess, forms of manipulation and got her off. I mean, the kids would even, like, comment later on in life how, like, she seemed to really enjoy other people's pain and torment. So she would have Shane join in and beat Kathy to the point where she's so scared of Shane, and then Shelly would show up and be like, oh, Kathy, I'll help you, I'll save you. And Kathy goes along with it. And then, so there's parts there where Kathy, she's bruised up and everything. And Shelly makes her bathe with water and bleach on these open cuts, open wounds. And the poor one was just screaming and screaming and screaming. And then in the summer of 1992, because Shelly doesn't know how to not spend money, and she also doesn't know how to pay a bill either, they have to move out of the bigger house and move into a smaller house on Monahan Landing Road. Now, this house was smaller, less bedrooms, of course, but it had some outdoor houses, a pump house, like a pole barn and everything. So when they move in the house, Shane and Kathy, when they move into the house, Dave and Shelly's bedroom is on the bottom floor, and they have a room with baby Tori, who has been born. Baby Tori was born, the summer of 1992. Sorry, I completely forgot to mention that baby Tori was born. Yes, baby Tori, born. 3-year-old now. This house that they have now on the main floor, it's Dave and Shelly and baby Tori in the room on the downstairs. Upstairs there's 2 rooms. Nikki's in one. Shane sleeps in her closet. And then Sammy, at this point, who's really not receiving much abuse, gets close to her to school and everything, has her own room. And then Kathy gets to sleep on the floor in the living room. Lucky lady. Summer of 1992, they're in Monaghan Landing. I explained the sleeping order. Okay, so they move in the house, the kids go to school and everything, and of course, what do you think? Kathy, actually, she has to do all these chores naked. She's getting beat, hit. She's making Shane join in on the beatings. She's making Dave join in on the beatings. She tries to escape one day, and it happens actually at the time when the school bus pulls up. So the school bus driver and some kids on it see a naked woman running around the yard. Well, this is what's crazy to me, because this is, the 90s. I know if I saw someone running naked through a yard, I would suspect something, but Kathy actually, or Shelly actually, has a whole story and lies and claims it was her that ran through the yard naked because the hot tub sparked or something. So that clears that up. And then, like, every time Kathy would escape, Shelly somehow would convince her to come back home. There was, like, one time she escaped to the mall, and mind you, by this time, she's missing hair, like, she's missing teeth, she's lost over 100 pounds, malnourished, open wounds all over her, getting cleaned with bleach, and continually beaten and beat down. And Kathy still figures out how to get her home. She gets her hair done and puts clean clothes on her. She never had to wear that stuff again or keep the hairdo. No, Kathy continued with all these gruesome things doing to her. There's like one thing they actually did one night where she's naked and they call her outside. It's Dave and Shelly doing this. And Shelly calls her outside and has her, and it's winter and cold out, and there's a hill. And she has poor Kathy run up this hill, and then Dave just pushes her down, and she rolls down it, and she's getting cut and scraped, bruised, hurt. Well, and then, right when she falls down, Shelly, get back up. Shelly would have her get back up and boof down the hill again. And this went on for hours. The kids were watching. I think they eventually probably just went to bed. So after this happens, he gets to go sleep in the pump house after the nice bath of hose water and bleach. The next morning, the kids actually described when they saw the hill, there was this red blood streak going down the side of the hill. It was awful. So the abuse goes on, the escapes go on, and it gets to the point where one time, Shelly actually woke up because she was sleeping, and Kathy didn't want to wake her up to ask to use the bathroom. So Kathy, trying to solve her own problem, took a Tupperware dish and pooped in it, and Kathy wakes up and sees this. Well, this is unacceptable, so she berated and hit her. Dave's there, so she has Dave come and hit her, and she falls down, and Dave has a steel toe boots on from work. And she actually has Dave start to kick her in the head with these steel toe boots on. And it's just bad. Like, you're getting kicked in the head with steel toe boots. What would you expect to happen? So the kids start noticing that Kathy has, like, her face is sagging and splurts, not being able to talk today. So abuse keeps going on. They notice that there's one point, like, they notice the speech is so bad, they sit her down and they give her one of Tori's toys, and it's a toy for a toddler, and Kathy can't figure out how to use it. And then the abuse gets even so bad that Shelly's so crazy, she has Dave build in their yard a waterboarding device where they can put Kathy in it and, they, no joke, waterboard her. So after this, she goes in the pump house, and she's not doing so well after so long. So Shelly brings her inside, and she's like, okay, we'll wash her up. And she's actually going to give her a real shower and everything. Well, Kathy's so weak, she busts through the glass in the shower, and she gets cut in her abdomen, legs, and everything. And we know it's Shelly, so Shelly's not going to let her go to the doctors. No, instead, Shelly, patches her up the best Shelly knows how, and she gets to sleep in this laundry room that Dave was building. So she's in the laundry room, and she's in there for a while, and Kathy's mending to her, and the kids, can't go help her or anything by any means, no. And Dave comes home for the weekend. Shelly's leaving. I believe Shane's at the house still, so I think she's going to pick the girls up from school or an after-school activity or a job or something. And Dave hears something coming from the laundry room, and he asks Shelly, like, what is that noise from the laundry room? And she's like, oh, it's fine. It's just Kathy. She's recovering. She's sleeping. So Shelly leaves, and Dave goes in the house, and he goes in the laundry room because all you can hear is like this gurgling weird sound, and Kathy is choking on her own vomit. So Dave's freaking out. He calls for Shane. He's trying to get this vomit out of her mouth, trying to give her CPR, and to no avail, Kathy dies. Well, when Shelly gets home, Dave's telling her what happened, and they send the kids out. Well, mind you, all the kids like sneak in to listen, and they know that Kathy's dead. So, but Shelly doesn't want to tell any of them. She takes all the kids except Shane to a hotel, has them stay there. She takes Shane back to the house, and Shane has to help burn. Yes, you heard me. I said burn Kathy's body in their fire pits. And Dave actually takes the ashes to the ocean to get rid of them, so there's no evidence or proof of any of this. Kids come home the next day from the hotel. Kathy picks them up. They get to swim and stuff. It's like a little vacation. And Shelly's big thing is, well, she says it happened, it's true. And I think she actually believes this in her own mind, too. So she tells the kids, oh, Kathy left with Rocky. Don't you remember my friend Rocky? He really liked her. He wanted to date her. He's a truck driver, and they're driving around the country and going to Canada and everything. And, like, the kids know that she's bullshit. This did not happen. But they just agree with it. And I think in their mind, they're like, this is a better story than what we know happened. So we're just going to go with this. I'm not exactly sure. I can't speak for what they were thinking. But you're getting abused. And your mom tells you who's abusing you that, hey, this is what happened. If anything happens, say this happened. You're going to say it. So now that Kathy's gone, the abuse falls back to Nikki and Shane. So by 1993, Nikki's graduated. She wants to go to college. She does start to go in college. She does enroll, but her mom makes it impossible for her to go, so Nikki just has to do chores all day. And then, so the anger's back on Nikki and Shane. And more so Shane, because for some reason Shelly thought Shane was going to tell. She was convinced Shane's going to tell. Shane's going to tell. And she keeps putting in Dave's ear, we need to get rid of Shane. We need to get rid of Shane. I mean, this is her nephew. Like, I have a nephew, Shane. And I couldn't imagine just beating him and, like, trying to convince my husband, we got to go kill our nephew Shane. He's going to tell. We need to get rid of him. But she does. And then one night in February 1995, oh, and just so you know, Shane has ran away too. Sorry, let me itch myself and I'll finish. Sorry. So Shane has ran away too and everything during these times, but of course Kathy finds him and gets him to come back. So in February of 1995, Nikki and Sammy get to go stay at a friend's house, which is like a rare thing. They really never get to go stay at friend's house. They have to stay at home because Shelly's lazy and they need to do everything for her. And when they get home, Shelly tells them the story while Shane ran away. And I'm sure they doubted it, but like maybe in the back of their head they wanted to believe the same thing. You know, like, oh, Kathy's gone with her boyfriend Rocky. Okay, Shane ran away. And she actually goes as far as making a plan, everything. And then she claims she heard from Shane. Shane's in Alaska. He's on a fishing boat. He's really enjoying it. He's making money. And that is the story she is now telling people. So after Shane's gone, and Nikki obviously is allowed to go to college, all the anger and abuse start falling on Nikki more and a little bit more on Tori. Or, I'm sorry, not Tori, Sammy. A little bit more on Sammy. And Nikki's kind of reaching the end of her rope. She's in her 20s. She can't go to college. She can't work. She has to go outside in her bra and underwear and work from sunup to sundown every day. Get hit until she's worthless. And one day, Shelly goes after her, and Nikki's just had enough. And she, like, tells her to fuck off, pushes her, whatnot. So Shelly's just like, oh my God, like, someone stood up to me. I don't know what to do about this. So what she does is she sends her to Nikki to go live with her Aunt Trish, which is like one of the best things that could have happened to Nikki. So Nikki lives with her Aunt Trish, and she's only supposed to stay there for her summer, but she mentions things. She doesn't flat out say like, hey Mom, I know Mom killed someone, Mom beats us. She just says, Mom's mean, can we stay here? So her Aunt Trish lets her stay. So then we're going to go up even more, because now Tori's getting the abuse, but I'm sorry, I keep saying Tori. Okay, we're going to go up more. Now, Sammy's getting the abuse because Nikki's not there. And all Sammy and Tori hears how awful Nikki was. So, by 1997, Sammy leaves to go to college and stays with her grandmother. So now just at the house is Dave, who's only there on weekends, Ellie, and Tori. Now, Tori's not, like, really familiar with all the abuse just because she was so little. She really doesn't remember Kathy. She doesn't remember Shane. She wasn't getting abused because she was little. Well, now, she's the only one there, so the abuse is showing. Well, Tori still makes a point to go home to visit on weekends when she's not in school and stuff to make sure Tori's okay, and Tori always says, yeah, she's fine. Well, in 2000, they decide... Shelly finds someone else to move in. And his name is Ron Woodworth. I've heard him be called Ron and Woody. So whatever you want. He's in his 50s. He is a heterosexual. And he ends up moving in because after his dad died earlier, and that messed with his head really bad. So after his dad died, his partner ended up leaving him, and he just kept spiraling downward, and he couldn't afford his house anymore. So Ron goes and lives with him. And it's the same thing as always. Everything's working out fine at first, and then, like, slowly the abuse starts happening. Well, not only does Shelly know Ron is messing it with his head, she knows his family, his mother and stuff. So she's telling Ron one story like, oh, your family doesn't want you around. And then he's telling the family another thing like, oh, Ron's bad. He had money to pay for this. He just didn't want to. And somehow through all this, and she starts, mentally and physically abusing Ron too. Ron loses contact with his family so far as to his mom gets a restraining order against him. So 2002, Shelly meets someone else, and his name is James McIntosh, and people call him Mac, and he needs long-term care, and he'd really like help Shelly to help him, but Shelly can't, so she decides, okay, well, I got Ron wrapped around my finger, I can have Ron go help. So Ron moves in so he can full-time take care of Mac. And this is where it's a little tricky because it can't be proven, but I have my opinion. You can share yours if you'd like as well. On February 9th, Shelly gets a call, and it's from Ron, and he's saying, well, Mac fell. I called an ambulance. You need to get here. I don't think he's going to make it. Well, by the time Shelly gets to the hospital, lo and behold, Mac didn't make it. So they did do an autopsy on Mac. Actually, Kay, who is Kathy's mom, knew Shelly was part of it, and she didn't ask for the cops to search for her daughter. She actually asked them to look into Mac's death. And the autopsy says he had blunt force trauma to the head, which could have been caused by a fall, so they really couldn't prove anything. But, I mean, Kathy could have been there and helped him and lied about the call. Kathy could have convinced him and hurt him so bad, and just messed with his head so much. Like, if you don't do something and call, then, or kill him, that, we don't know. We know that that's what the autopsy said. We also know that Shelly was the only one to gain from Mac's death. Shelly was gonna gain, she got, I believe it was $5,000, and she was also gonna inherit his estate, which was worth $130,000. And of course, Shelly needs this money. So, sorry guys, I dropped the camera. Okay, so, after Mac dies, Ron has to go live back at Shelly's house, and just, like, now the abuse is even revved up more. Like, she's abusing Tori, making Tori do things naked. She's making Ron work outside like he did Nikki in his, underwear with no shoes on from sunup to sundown. From sunup to sundown. And, like, she's constantly, like, Ron's ran away too. Friends of Ron's have seen him in town, and they're like, Ron, you shouldn't stay there. You should, like, she's not good for you. And Ron just, nope, nope, I'm staying with Shelly, I'm staying with Shelly. Well, one time it went as far as Dave was home. It went as far as Mac was on the roof. Ron was on the roof. He was fixing shingles and he fell. Well, Kathy thought, like, hey, this is awesome. Climb back up on that roof and jump up. And he had to do this repeatedly until he couldn't walk again. Well, by, what was it, summer of 2003, Ron succumbs to his injuries. I believe it was July 22nd, 2003, is when Ron succumbs to his injuries. So, Kathy, at this time, Kathy went, and I'm not exactly sure if she took the body to Ron's house or what, but Tori was still there. Tori loved Ron. She actually called him Uncle Ron. And Shelly didn't want, Tori to know anything about this, so she actually lets Tori go to visit her sisters. And this is where it's kind of sad, because the sisters all get together and they all realize that Tori's getting abused. Tori learns about her mom killing Kathy. They all express their concerns about how, we think Mom killed Shane. And then Tori goes home after all this, and she asks her mom where's Uncle Ron? Where's Uncle Ron? And she's like, oh, he's at Mac's house. Well, then Tori calls her sisters, and she's like, yeah, I think Mom killed Ron. You need to get me out of here. So, and just to state this too, Ron's body was not burned. It was buried. Dave could not burn the body, I believe, because like a building was gone that used to be there, so he didn't want the neighbors to see. So he buried it, and that was going to be a quick fix, and he was gonna burn it later. But after Tori calls and talks to her sisters, and they all figure this out, in February of 2004, so after getting the call from Tori on August 6, 2003, Nikki and Sammy go to the police, and they tell the police everything, what happened to Kathy, their suspicions about Shane, the abuse they endured, the abuse they've seen their dad endure, what they think happened to Ron. And so it takes a couple days, and the cops do go and they remove Tori from the home. Well, this is freaking Shelly out. She doesn't know what's going on. She wants to know if someone told. So she calls the girls. The girls don't know anything. So Dave's like, okay, I'll go to the police. I'll talk to them. I will see about getting Tori back. Well, within 5 hours, Dave confesses to everything, and we all find out what happened to poor Shane. Dave confesses on that night where the girls stay at their friend's house. He had shot Shane in the back of the head when he was going into the pump house, and he burnt Shane's body and buried him in the ocean as well. So this is just awful. But I guess there is kind of a little bit of good things that come out of this, because they arrest Dave, they go arrest Shelly. So then in February 2004, Dave knotek takes a plea, and he gets 15 years. He was actually released in 2016. He hangs out with the younger two daughters, who are doing very well, but Nikki, who is doing amazing as well, wants nothing to do with him because he abused her, just like his mom did. Can't blame her. There was abuse, and yeah. And then in April 2004, Shelly takes the Alford plea, which she's not saying she's guilty, but there's enough evidence, I believe, prove she's guilty. And she gets 22 years. So that means in 2026, yay, Shelly's back. And what was great about this is Shelly was actually up for parole for good behavior in June of 2022 this year. And it was denied. And I'm going with the daughters had a huge part of that. So that's where we're at with Shelly Novak, guys. This was a long one. And it was just a mindfuck one, because all the stuff this woman did, I mean, you can go and research more. I don't even think I could fit everything in, because this would have taken hours and hours and hours. Just the awful things this woman did to everyone she came in contact with. It was always all about her, and just not a normal lady. And another thing I was thinking about is, okay, they sent her to prison, but I really honestly think she would have done better, most likely in a mental home, or if she is getting psychological, or if she's getting the mental help she needs there. That is awesome. I couldn't find anything about it. Only thing I read before, she has refused help, but this was when she was a teenager. So, and I'm really happy they didn't release her because she was, I want to say 68. But even when she does get released, she's going to be in her early 70s. So just hopefully no one ever meets this lady again. So that is it for now, guys. Bear with me. I promise the lighting and everything will get better. It's a new process for me. I'm learning as I go. But if you're liking everything you see right now, you like, subscribe, and stay tuned, and I will see you in a couple days. Bye!